Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Coming up on this episode.
Memories of the word dude, or just, an 80s term maybe, or
therein lies the connection. I love it. And you don't have employees sitting around watching that dumpster while it's being rented. There's no employees required once it's dropped off.
Brands out there.
And that's okay, because the two brands you just mentioned, you can't get anymore. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. And I'm your host, Lance Graulich. Now, if I said the word dude to you, what would you think in the world of franchising? Well, I have a partner and the VP of Franchise Development for Dumpster Dudes here, Mr. Brian Johnson. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much, Lance. Great to be with you.
Well, dude, why don't you tell us all about how you got into the world of franchising? Let's start with that. I love that question.
Yeah, and I will first state that I jumped into Dumpster Dudes a lot because of the brand power. A brand grows over time and gains equity, and this one, as we continue our journey, continues to have this immediate appeal to people, to that have memories of the word dude, or just an 80s term maybe, or it resonates with so many people on so many levels. And seems agnostic across, everyone feeling great about the word dudes, and
it's fun and catchy.
Fun.
That's what it is. You have visions of dumpster diving and dudes and whatever. But
yeah, so we're having fun with the name, and my journey actually into franchising started as a franchisee back in 2006 for a direct mail concept. So I kind of got to see what it was like as in a system that had 300 franchisees. It was my first leap at a young age to get out of corporate America and start my own business. And I became a franchisee in a system that was money mailer. It was a direct mail concept, and kind of got going on my own, and progressed for a few years in that franchise system, started a couple other businesses, mostly in the marketing and direct mail space, and reunited a few years back with the founder of Dumpster Dudes, who I went to high school with. And
therein lies the connection. I wanted to know the Dustin connection.
Many people think we're brothers. If you see us side by side, we've got similar physical traits, but we are just high school buddies. And the other partner of ours that also went to high school with us, and I've worked with him in another company that I had at one point. So in any good business, I think there's a lot of, and the leadership level, there's a connection, trust, and that we had already previously established. So when I met with Dustin, the founder, and a few years back, and they were telling me about, and I live in his territory, by the way. He owns and operates a territory in Berks County, Pennsylvania. So I saw the brand everywhere. I was familiar with kind of what he was doing, and they wanted to meet with me to pick my brain about the marketing ideas and how they're progressing their business, and the notion of really pushing this opportunity into many states with franchising. So yeah, that's where we joined forces, and I became a franchisor for the first time, and kind of layering experiences from franchisee to other private businesses that I'm either still running or had run at one point, and now taking all of that and bundling it into a genuine opportunity for others to kind of jump onto the very cool brand that Dustin started.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as a franchisee with Money Mailer, you obviously had a good enough experience to end up, being head of franchise development and a partner in Dumpster Dudes. So tell me what you like so much about the world of franchising.
Yeah, I like a lot of things about it, and I don't think all franchise systems are equal, and I don't think all opportunities are equal or genuine. And that was something I took in a positive way out of Money Mailer. What I bought was well supported. The CEO at the time would bleed for the franchisees and side with anything to help progress them to be successfar. And so I took a lot out of that playbook. And
Love
I
that.
also, in my journey with some of my marketing businesses, I've had the pleasure to work with a lot of franchise systems and get into, corporate controlling a brand as they should at times, and the franchisee wanting to do certain things in local markets, the wrestle of ad funds. And I really got to appreciate the healthy systems. Every organization, franchise or not, has culture and has, people at the core of it trying to do something great in their local market. And I'm able to kind of build from all of these experiences and see who I think we want to be as a franchisor now, through the wrestle that occurs in, I'll call it healthy conflict. I want to do this. Well, the FTD says I can't. And how do we, try it out? And how do we stay within brand standards and all of the things that come out of daily life as a franchisor? And there's some battle wounds along the way with, daily business life, but it's really, I'm in a sweet spot. I guess I would self-describe where I feel really excited about the opportunity we're presenting.
Yeah.
And my ability to kind of navigate the emotions of business and help our new franchise owners get off the ground and navigate their amazing ideas and how it might reflect into our visions and, create a team environment. So our first 30 franchisees, we feel, are the type of people that can really help everyone get better. And that's what we're most excited about.
Yeah. I love all that. And thank you for all that sort of backup. All about franchising. It is truly about a relationship, and that sort of give and take and collaboration between franchisor and franchisee. To me, is just like a marriage. If it's done right and it's done effectively, you complement each other. Let's talk about, define for everybody listening that does not have any clue what Dumpster Dudes is about, other than dumpsters and dudes. Describe what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of the attractions for me to join forces and really go after this thing is the simplicity of the business model. And it's a cautionary description because in that, no business is easy. The model is simple, but hard work and determination and all the things that have to go into being successful are always there. So, I always like to disclaimer this simple business model to not have people come into franchising just to think that cash pours out the back end in the first month or two. And but with that, to describe the business, it is.
Wait, month 3, you get a bunch of cash. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it. Yep, you put it in, it comes out the machine. It's a beautiful thing, and probably why franchise agreements and FDDs exist, to prevent people like me from saying such silly things. And
no, we know that's not what you're saying, but that is one of the most common questions, and we can get into that a little bit later. But
yeah, we'll talk numbers and
how quickly do I make money and things like that. But keep going. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. So dumpster rental is what it sounds like. Unlike junk hauling, where usually 2 people go in and remove the junk, our service is to drop the bin off, typically at a house, and the contractor that asked us to drop the bin there, whether it be a roofer, a remodeler, home restoration, etc., does their job, fills our bin. We come back and pick it up once it's full of the debris. We transport it to the transfer station or landfill and responsibly get rid of the debris for them. Sometimes it's a homeowner. So the split's about 50-50. The homeowner may just be cleaning out their basement, their garage, doing a home improvement project of their own, and they'll hire us directly, or the contractor will hire us to typically drop the bin at someone's house or a construction project. So 4 sized bins, from 10 yards up to 25-yard bin sizes. And with that, our trucks are non-CDL. So they kind of, push the upper limits of the 25-yarder for pretty sizable projects, but don't require the labor intensive hiring practices of a CDL driver, which some of the benefits of the low employee count and non-skilled labor really help this model become more and more turnkey as you're scaling. And really the pressures become, and it's an asset heavy business to buy more trucks and more bins as you grow, and do that at the right cadence is really where we step in and support the franchisee. But to answer the question briefly, it's a dumpster rental business where we drop it off, pick it up. And when I first learned of the model, I said, Dustin, you're doing over $1 million in Berks County, Pennsylvania, and you drop the bin off and you pick it up, and you drop it off and you pick it up, and you have 3 employees. And I kind of fell in love with that, and it was trash and dumpster rental and garbage and simple, and I loved it.
I love it. And you don't have employees sitting around watching that dumpster while it's being rented. There's no employees required once it's dropped off.
Just responsible drivers, right?
Phenomenal business. And just for those listening, in case you're not aware what a CDL is, it's a commercial driver's license. So there is no special driver's license to drive this particular vehicle. But let's talk about licensing in general. Like with anything, whether it's senior home care or air conditioning or whatever kind of franchise, I would imagine licensing for the actual business might vary state to state.
Yeah, always pockets of little variations, but now having 30 locations in multiple jurisdictions, we are not finding many differences because it's pretty uniformed across the country as either a CDL truck driver, as you just described, or a non-CDL. And there's a lot of details within that, but a medical card may be necessary, checking driver's records and what it does to your insurance rates, and some basic components. But from a state side, getting your Department of Transportation tags and stickering the trucks right, we help with all of that, and it's pretty streamlined and not very complicated.
So let's talk about investment. What is sort of that opening package? How many dumpsters do you get? What's the recommended? There's a package, if you will, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we start with 1 truck, 24 dumpsters, and those 2 are the investment. With add in the $40,000 franchise fee and round it up to $300,000. It's $250,000 for the truck and dumpsters, and $40,000 for the fee, and some ancillary expenses on top of that. Is the starting package, and with that, there's a lot of competition in every business, and you'll have competitors that have hundreds of dumpsters and they're established, and you've got a lot that never bought more than 2 or 3. And so we've kind of wrestled with history and the proper investment to get the right talent, the right type of people we want, but not have to have them be millionaires to get in. And so with that, a lot of the assets that we just described are financeable as well. Yep. And you can, finance with smaller deposits, the truck and the dumpsters. And maybe somewhat uniquely, we are offering some financing on the franchise fee as well. So, there's ways to get in for probably $100,000 of down money, but we really like to see someone have $250,000 in liquid cash, if you will, to ensure that they have some, months ahead of them that they're not stressed about the opening days.
No doubt, cash is king. So if they have about 250,000 liquid, nobody wants to use all of their money, and 100,000 down is quite reasonable to jump into this business. Are most owners full-time in the business, or are most owners investor types or semi-absentee owners where they keep their day job and hire somebody to help with this?
Yeah, most are owner operator, but that comes in 2 flavors. Some are hiring drivers right in the beginning, so they're not in the truck as much, but they're still pretty hands-on. So transparently, we haven't brought on a full silent owner. We've got a handful that own other businesses and are doing, bringing in, and with each new market, we're, getting some combinations that are, 3 partners or 1 single operator that brings in a manager. And so, different variations of the model.
No, but that's good. Brian, I love that. Sorry, I wanted to stop you there. I love that, because there's a lot of people that don't want to give up the security of a day job, even though they might hate it. And they want to soak up as much corporate salary as somebody's willing to pay them before they make that jump. So
Yeah,
to be semi absentee, as the crazy franchise term denotes, that you're talking 10 to 20 hours a week in the business managing a manager.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
you got some of
Uh,
that going on. I love that.
we do, and we're cautious with that because um, people handle that differently, and
Yes.
put in a proper manager and proper people in place to allow them those freedoms, and some do not. And learning your own business that you just invested in and understanding those components. I mean, again, going back to the simplicity, you've got the driver and you've got the person answering the phones. They can be one and the same. We have some that are truly owner operators driving the truck, answering the phones, putting the jobs in the system, dispatching themselves to the jobs. And actually, in our item 19, you'll see those numbers look better when it comes to profit margin. And you'll see a very common trend of why are they more profitable than this outlet? And
Yeah.
most of that is the early stages of someone investing in payroll that
Yes.
as they're ramping up versus doing it themselves, and not maybe showing the paycheck or distribution to themselves inflates the P&L a bit
All
when they're
right.
doing it on their own versus paying somebody.
You got everybody excited talking about money now. So let's talk about that a little bit. You have a great item 19 in that you pretty much show it all.
We try to, and with that it comes great responsibility, as they say. And that's what item 19 is all about, is disclosing how outlets are doing and let people know the genuine opportunity. And we've seen a lot of item 19s that I would say two things. I think as you get bigger in scale to 50, 100, 200, 1,000 units, it becomes harder to collect the data and
Yeah.
and then accurately push it back. And I think once you begin to validate, not that you should ever steer away from reporting in the item 19 to the best of your ability, but if you have a successful model and your franchisees are validating you inside and out, and they're talking about how much money they're all making, it becomes probably less detrimental to not have a strong in item 19.
Yeah.
For us as a
Absolutely.
newer franchisor, we're wanting to paint the most transparent picture. So, we're throwing basically a P&L from every location into the item 19. Unfortunately or fortunately, at the end of 2023, we only had 7 locations had complete years, which we love where we've been and where we're going. And to be at 30 now shows that we're really doing some good things with growth. But
Yeah.
the item 19 also lacks some of the things that are exciting about the trends happening this year, and things that we can't wait to report again next year.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah, happy to.
and that's the beauty of you being this artist, as you're saying, and painting this picture. And you want to make sure that people don't have surprises. Everybody wants to get into a business that there are no surprises. Just like the marriage issue or relationship that I mentioned earlier. You don't want any skeletons in the closet, and I think your item 19 is pretty clear for where you are as a snapshot in time for the year. So your highest volume location did how much last year? Or territory?
1.3 million in
Yeah.
23, and that's the founder and original location. And the next highest was around 530,000, and has 2 complete years under his belt. So yeah, you go from a 7-year founder at 1.3 to a 2-year at 530.
Yeah, but even
That
at
is a
530, Brian, what kind of, and you're showing some sort of EBITDA number, right? Some sort of cash flow figure.
Yeah, so that location that I mentioned at 530 is an adjusted earnings, basically EBITDA number of 115,000 in the item 19, or 21%.
Yeah.
And with that location also was fairly aggressive with 2 employees early on. He happens to also be one of our partners that is investing in people to run the business so he can be a good franchisor. And so if he was making other choices to be in the truck and do more of those activities, that could even that would look different,
Yeah.
because you'll see in some of our item 19 locations, you'll see 40 and 50% EBITDAs. And that number is a bit shocking, but it's truly a low overhead, employee owned and operated. And then there could be some strategies there where they should start to invest in freeing up their time, put a driver in the seat, spend a little payroll so that you can go out and network with contractors and, create more momentum to get that second truck and more bins. So it's an interesting strategy. And what I love most about the item 19 is it tees up the mindset and shows transparently where these different models can take you and where they're at in the journey. I wish that franchising would allow what we do pretty much on day one once they sign the franchise agreement, which is a 24-month, month-by-month forecast. We talk heavily about utilization rates of how many bins you have and how many you have to rent each month, where break-evens occur, and what, very specifically in your market, your rents and insurance costs are, and the overhead items, if you will, and really dig deep to help them in exactly who they are and where they want to go. And that's one of my favorite activities now, is not just in day one, but okay, now you're 6 months in, 3 months in, 6 months in, 9 months in, schedule a time where we can update that spreadsheet and really kind of start to forecast the next 24 months beyond that. And item 19 is just a kicker in the beginning to sell franchises and be as genuine as possible, as I mentioned earlier, about the opportunity. But the real fun begins when you dig in at the local market and really take that unique scenario and make it its own.
Yeah. Well, Brian, look, that's I like that explanation. For those listening, the item 19 that we've been talking about is in the franchise disclosure document. Every franchise brand produces one, updates it annually, and item 19 is 19 of 23 different items, but that is the earnings claim. And I do love that Dumpster Dudes has a very transparent item 19. Now, talk a little bit about the validation. So as they go through the process with you, they'll have an opportunity, prospects, to speak to existing franchisees about their experience, right?
Yes, and we do that. And quite honestly, I'm not sure what other brands do here, but we just give them a list of all of our locations, and we ask, as they would for anything in their lives, be cognizant
Courteous.
of people's time and be courteous and but ask as many questions and call any of them instead of us cherry picking the top 4 that will validate well. And the prospects can call as many from that list as they want, and they do. And our franchisees do let us know that they're getting these calls, and they really seem to genuinely want to help us as well, because they're happy. And they'll also speak their minds. I mean, people are people, and this is the best part of it, is we seem to be validating very well and openly say, call any of our locations and ask them anything you want. And and it's been a great process. And from there, there's usually a process of about 3 to 4 calls, like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, with Willie Katnowski, our director of franchise development and sales guru, of presenting the opportunity. And once they've validated for themselves and they've looked at the FDD and they begin to see themselves as a dumpster dude, we will bring and fly them into Reading, PA for a day in the life, discovery day, and plead with them to think of themselves in this position, in whatever capacity that means for them, and make sure that with their family or whomever their support system is, that this is absolutely where they want to be. Because our franchise agreement's 10 years, and we want this to go on for beyond that. And it's certainly a life choice where we're not just trying to slam people into a franchise fee and then move on to the next. And we've been really enjoying that process.
I love how responsible you're being, but look, I love the transparent numbers. I love the process that you're doing. And I love that the margins are so high because it doesn't require a lot of horsepower here. I mean, it's a great system. Talk about the marketing. How do people get off the ground effectively in a Dumpster Dudes location? Like, what does that grand opening look like?
Yeah, and I'll answer it in 2 ways. The first one is a little bit about our why are we the greatest thing ever? Why should you invest with us? And that started when I first kind of sniffed around in this business model to be, just more on the typical franchising opportunity where it's turnkey. We help you figure out what equipment you need and kind of the basic components of this thing. And I would say that's shifted a lot in the last year, where we almost see our primary unique selling proposition to be the marketing foundation. And there's a very high intent of search on Google for this type of service. I want to rent a dumpster rental near me. And the SEO, the pay-per-click, the Google My Business profile, all of these digital marketing foundations are much more. There's agencies because of this all over the world that specialize, and it's a heavy lift. And if you want to go start your own dumpster rental business, there's a probably a better chance of you figuring out which trucks and bins to buy than there is of launching and fast forwarding yourself quickly with being found and being a viable brand within the different search pockets on the internet. And, we've hit a really good stride there, and we have some really good secret sauces that are ranking more from month 1 to month 2. That's kind of the metrics we're looking at with different tools we have, is how quickly are we being found, and what is, of course, that impacting month 1 sales versus month 2 when we launch a new market. What does the competition look like? And there's all sorts of data science behind this now that we're implementing to get someone from 0 to 100, and without putting numbers on that, faster. And taking where Dustin's at today, as I mentioned, with his growth over 7 years, and trying to hit that in years 1 and 2 instead of letting it take 5 years. And I think that's the big difference here, is kind of that ramp up speed and getting them into the right truck. We have dumpster manufacturers across the country that we can introduce them to, that are reliable, proper steel. I mean, these are things that are important as well. You can buy the wrong things and really they're expensive and put yourself in trouble. We do all of that really well. We get them up and running within 6 to 8 weeks of them signing a franchise agreement. I mean, it's a fast signature to open time frame, and from there, it's a matter of how quickly can we get month 1 to double into month 2, and to continue to expand from there. And with each market we open, and with the more excited we get over this differentiating factor that is going to bring, why did I buy this Dumpster Dudes franchise? The brand power, still in a young phase of our lives, has to be earned. I mean, we're excited about it, and we think it's resonating everywhere, as we talked about earlier in the call. But we certainly can't call ourselves Domino's Pizza yet, or one of those 1-800-GOT-JUNK brands out there.
And that's okay, because the 2 brands you just mentioned you can't get anymore, and that's part 1.
Right.
Or step 1 in getting into a franchise, is that it has to be available in your desired location. So marketing, I love what you just shared. Marketing and support tend to be problems with brands when things really go wrong. So talk about support and how you help franchisees, from training to ongoing support after they're open.
Yeah, and just on the marketing side, to finish that first answer, is Dustin spends about 2% of sales on marketing. One of the beauties of this is you can set some foundational items within the digital footprint to be found, but once you have 160 bins in your market, you have huge bright orange bins sitting in every driveway, in every little pocket that act as a billboard. So there's this nice organic momentum with the assets you have that doesn't force a continued client acquisition cost of, with some brands, 8 to 10% of ongoing ad spend. So that it's nice to see, as this business scales, you can actually kind of dial that back, or be as aggressive as you want. But it's an interesting, unique thing, I think, in this business, that you get some natural advertising out of the bins themselves. And from a support level, and we hope to continue this trend, because as franchises grow, this becomes a bigger challenge. And you hire success coaches in different regional pockets, and help to yourself be available and be there. But right now, myself, my other 2 partners, and Willie will take text, phone calls 24/7. It's one of those organic, raw, everyone's having fun, and we're talking to everyone at every moment possible. And and
Good.
so the love is there, from that perspective. But brand standards, should I put an ad in this publication? Should I, do yard signs? And just bouncing those ideas off of each other is where we can really help them save themselves from pitfalls of spending money in bad places. Just advice to them. And really it comes back to that. There's field ops questions. My dumpster got parked in on a street. I don't know how to pull it out. I can't grab it with the truck, and we can FaceTime quickly to Dustin, who's in the field himself, or Aaron, who understands and owns and operates a location as well. I got a flat tire. These things happen. How do I fix this problem? 24/7, roadside support. Just dial us. From a business strategy perspective, we also check that box. Like, hey, I'm looking out in my yard. I have no bins left. People are calling. And these are the best problems. I'm stressed out. Should I buy more dumpsters? What's my next move? And then we get into that forecasting spreadsheet and really dial into the numbers. And it's really comes down to that. Should I hire somebody? Should I buy more assets? Or my truck broke down. What do I do?
Yeah.
And there's a lot
all good
to
problems
that,
to have, like you said.
Yeah, it really is. But also managing emotion around it. Right. And so we've seen it all. And when you're fresh into this business and you're in month one and something goes awry, just talking people down off the ledge and saying, this is normal. This is business. Everything's going to be just fine. Do these things.
Yeah. Good. Well, look, Brian, you've been awesome. Thanks for the info. Final thoughts, final words of wisdom for the audience.
Yeah. I mean, just super excited about exactly where we're at today, and that genuine opportunity that we talked about wanting to deliver in the beginning. It just feels more and more exciting as each day passes. And we've got some really, as you referenced in part of this podcast, that we've got some open markets that we're being very cautious with in terms of selectivity, because they only come around once. And with our careful selection, I can say that people that are on board right now come from all different walks of life, but have this thing. If you put them all in the room together, they would have a blast. And we want to continue that. And we want to pick, and we want them to pick us, of course, as well. But we want to strategically move into some of these prime markets that are still remaining. And when we do, it's going to create an orange wave, and that's it's something that we're looking at 20, 30 locations a year as a forecasted growth, not 100, not 200, and really controlling it with slow, intelligent growth. And I won't spill all the secret sauce, but we've got some really cool proprietary things that in dumpster rental, which is maybe surprising to hear, right ahead of us that we'll do on the next podcast together once it's launched.
I can't wait. Can't wait for more talk about secret sauce and dumpsters. Not in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Brian, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.